Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen and Louis de Souza here. Today is Monday, February the 25th, 2019. It's 8 a.m. in New York, 5 a.m. in Los Angeles, 1 p.m. in London. Sydney, Australia is at 12 midnight, but wherever you are in the world, thank you for tuning in for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And we're happy to get the week off to a energetic start this week. We're going to be doing something a little bit different because we have, Louis, I should say, has brought in a guest to interview who is a very energetic person. I've seen her videos, and let me tell you, this lady works up a storm when she's playing. She's a violinist, but I'm not going to tell you any more about it. I'm going to let Louis tell her. So first of all, Louis, how you doing? Hope you had a good weekend.
Hey, Walt, how's it? Fantastic, thank you very much. And hello, Daisy. And I had a brilliant weekend, thanks. As I was saying earlier, I just been doing some work on my daughter's bedroom and having a lot of fun with that.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of fun.
It's great when you use the law of attraction to get things to work smoothly.
There you go.
in the past, you've been doing these kind of odd jobs before, but they have not run smoothly. But it's awesome to use the law of attraction. It's just been great. So we've got this great opportunity to talk to Daisy Jopling, who's you can Wikipedia her, you can YouTube her, and seeing the incredible music that she's created. I was speaking to Miriam, who introduced me to her, and found out a little more about you, Daisy. So I know some secrets there. So an incredible violinist, and as Walt says, the thing that sparked me to great interest when I watched it was the incredible enthusiasm and energy you bring to the table, Daisy. And as much as I'd like to give you a great introduction, I'd rather like to hear the story directly from you, because I hear you put down a lot of your success down to the law of attraction and the Abraham Hicks teachings. So I'm really excited to hear more, and I'm going to hand it straight over to you. How are you?
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've just been listening to Abraham Hicks since May last year. So what is that, like 8 months or something?
That's fabulous, though.
But you're still a noob, huh?
Yeah. It was an amazing way as well that I found out about it. There are lots of, I'm sure you guys are the same, I have projects that I'm working on now, and then I have those they call them pipe dreams, or maybe they're just dreams that could happen in the future, maybe that, sometimes we're doing some work on. And one of them is to create a Broadway show. Ooh. So I was working with a director and an amazing, scriptwriter and director and a musical director, and who've done a lot of Broadway work.
I hear this guy's got a fantastic surname.
You what?
I hear this director of yours has got a great surname, isn't it?
So there's Michael Feigenbaum, who's the, you mean the guy? Yeah, that's with my new record. He's got a great surname.
Yeah.
That's my new record. We'll go to that in a minute. But yeah, the Broadway show, at one point we thought of going in for a festival in New York. We're just not there yet, but, the New York Theatre Festival, where shows that would like to get on Broadway do a kind of workshop, and all the potential producers come and hear them. So I wrote to that festival to find out about them, and they watched a music video I'd made of a song that I wrote called Country Hope. And the guy wrote back saying, "Here's the details. By the way, your video's incredible. Are you an Abraham person?"
Wow.
And I'm like, well, I wouldn't know at all what that meant. I just wrote back saying, "Thank you so much." What the hell are you talking about? But, in a nice way. And he sent a link just to a video, and I watched it, and I was so excited. I was like, this is my thing right now. And I started listening to it every single time I was driving, every single time I was doing the washing up. Any moment I found, I started listening to those videos. And the second or maybe third video on YouTube, these are just the YouTube videos that I listened to, said, hey, if you've got some time, try to, in the next 30 days, cancel as many appointments as you can. And just focus on only doing what you feel like in that moment. And I took that 30-day course. Like that day I had 3 appointments, none of which had to be done that day. I cancelled them all and I went kayaking, and I just started doing stuff like that every day.
For 30 days.
It was May last year. I wouldn't do that right now. And I had an amazing month. And yeah, then things really started changing for me. I mean, as I said to you, Louis, specifically what I wanted in my life at that time was to have more touring. And yeah, some other things came into my life that I'd never thought, but were like amazing. So now I'm just going off in 5 weeks on a 30 concert tour in China.
Whoa.
I'll be away for nearly 2 months, touring in like the most beautiful concert halls throughout China, 30 different cities. And I've got other tours all in planning. I've got concerts fixed in New York and Mexico, but like all kinds of stuff is happening. It's just a whirlwind of, as you said, I'm enthusiastic of really exciting things. And then this guy, Felipe Souza, actually he's just called Felipe. I think they pronounce it Souza over there in Mexico, Souza. Yeah. In Mexico, contacted me and he started this company which is making records, and I've just recorded a new album of violin arrangements of The Who, because that had been one of my dreams. And it was we're still in the project. It's such an exciting journey. The music's unbelievable. It sounds brilliant on the violin, and just working with this whole team of people, and everything's paid for, and just an amazing setup they've got there. The joy, the bliss of this project, and we're working on the album art now, and getting the touring package ready. We'll start touring that show. It's just like, I tell them every day, like, guys, I can't believe how lucky I am to work in this company. It's so, and like the deal I have for the album is I get 96% of everything the album makes, and the company gets 4%. Like that, for any artist, even a normal person out there, but any artist is going to be like, I want the number of this company,
Yeah, right. Yeah, there are a whole bunch of people who are aspiring artists who are now going to their phones saying, okay, what's the name of the phone number of the company? I want to call them right now. That's fabulous. By the way, I wanted to tell you, Daisy, this is not something most people admit to these days, but I've been a Vivaldi fan for many, many years, and I loved your interpretation of Winter. Very, very nice job. I really like that.
It's so fun. And you know what we've done? We've just taken exactly what Vivaldi wrote. I don't know, I've played it with a band, and I've also played it with a band plus a string orchestra as it was originally written.
Right.
And all we've done is we've added the band charts which play a reggae beat along with, it even works not just with me playing the solo line, but with the full string orchestra playing, what they normally play. It sounds so killing. Like, I think Vivaldi's like, yeah, man.
It's funny. Most people listening are going to say, who? Yeah, who's Vivaldi? Never heard of him. I mean, is he on the charts?
Well, I have the other way round, in that I was brought up in an amazing family. I love my family to bits. They're, in England mostly, and dotted around in Europe. But my parents just felt that classical music was the most, I guess, well, in their ideas, the best education for a child mind to develop, rather than rock or rather than different music. That was their idea. I had the most beautiful childhood. It was very secluded, though, in a way, very sheltered, like no TV, radio was just set on classical or some bebop jazz. So I didn't hear any other music. We were in the countryside. I played with my sister and my brother. Like, we were really secluded. So I had not heard of The Who when I was growing up. And the funny thing is so I just heard about it when I came to live in the States, like many, many, many years after The Who had written these songs. And so now I'm telling my family, I wrote them an email saying, hi guys, I'm making this new album. It's, arrangements of this band called The Who. And all my family still haven't heard of The Who. So they all went, so I'm like spreading the word. I'm spreading the word far and wide to people who've never heard of The Who. And so they're researching about it, and one of them was like, Daisy, I mean, it seems like they smash their instruments at every concert. And, I have a 240-year-old, like, very, very, very valuable Italian violin, So they kind of looked at me going, well, it's great you're playing the music and you love it, but I hope you're not, like, going to reproduce the way they used to play their concerts. So I was like, don't worry about it. I'm not going to smash my violin in the concert, but I'm going to have a concert. I mean, we're creating the lighting design. It's like projection. It's going to be an amazing show.
That's interesting too, because
so just yesterday, the date with the tickets aren't even on sale, but the New York release concert of that album is the 16th of June at 4 p.m. I live in Peekskill, just north of New York City.
Sure.
There's a theater here, beautiful theater called the Paramount Theater. It's going to be there for any listeners to put it in your calendar. The date, the tickets are going on sale. There's a pre-sale this week at some point. So anyway,
I don't actually live all that far from you. I live in the Hartford, Connecticut area, and we have the Hartford Symphony Orchestra comes to our town. Our town is like the Tanglewood for the Hartford, and they come to our town, Simsbury, Connecticut, to play every summer. And I think it was either last summer or the summer before, one of their concerts was reproducing the music of The Who.
How amazing.
Isn't that something?
How amazing.
Yeah.
I should come and play there as well. So it's also interesting. I have to talk with you after this show, but I have a really beautiful concert that we created with different rock songs and a lot of my own music for orchestra that we did at Lincoln Center in 2017, the year before last. Anyway, might be interesting for the Hartford.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I know absolutely nobody attached to that at all, but I'm sure we can find the right contacts for you. That's not difficult.
Yeah. Law of attraction.
That's right. Absolutely. That's all you do. So
I mean, to get back to that, I do every day I wake up and I actually, I've listened to so many tapes now, and I'm sure you've listened to even thousands and thousands more than I have. There's this interesting thing that Esther or Abraham often says: when you wake up, you feel good. And I know exactly what Abraham means. In other words, my energy generally in the morning is very good. And I've heard other people say, so what seems to happen to me is, all the negative thoughts that I'm having, obviously I'm trying as quickly as possible to change them into positive thoughts, but often in my dreams, they work themselves through, like they turn into real nightmares. So I often wake up having just had a nightmare and I'm like feeling kind of crappy, and I immediately go into meditation. I don't even get out of bed. I just go immediately into 15 minutes of meditation and I'm feeling on top of the world, like in total bliss, and I get up and I'm into that thing that one of the processes she said was scripting, writing about things that you want to happen, maybe for yourself, maybe for your loved ones, whatever it is. So I do my scripting, take a shower and make the main point of each day to try to do whatever it takes to stay in a good mood. I'm sure everybody, you guys can relate to this. I want to actually know whether you guys can relate to this. I still, there are certain things that trigger me, and to suddenly feel, and I have a lot of darkness, and I kind of, interestingly in my music and in everything as an artist, I like to own the darkness and the light, like it's kind of important for me, So anyway, I can have something trigger me, and it's never, I think I can say never to do with somebody else. It's something I've done. And I look at myself and I'm like, I'm such an idiot. Like there's total criticism. I want to literally kill myself right then. Like, how could I have done something? And it's normally something really little where somebody else, like my husband, looks at me and he's like, he doesn't really say it out loud, but he's like, I can't believe you just feel that bad over this little thing, Like yesterday I went out to see a friend and I left something on the stove. And my husband took a nap while I went out. So when I came back, there was kind of smoke, serious stuff going on. And I came back and I just felt like, how could I have done that? Like, that was so stupid. And immediately I was like, okay, I've got to feel better. Immediately I did a meditation, felt better. But it's amazing how, for me, this is the thing I want to talk to you about. In that moment of feeling total darkness, I mean, like that real, physical, it's like my whole body is crunching in on itself, my head, my everything. It's the momentum, right? There's a part of me that kind of doesn't get out of that. Like, I hate being in that, and yet there's that part of me that I have to force to get out of that. It really takes effort to get out of it, and it only takes maybe a couple of minutes.
It's annoying that you actually have to do that. I know that feeling. I mean, I know it very well. Because, I mean, even to this day, there are times where I try not to force myself anymore. I've learned that's really not actually the best way to go about doing it. But many times I find myself just in that not good place and have to turn it around. Yeah. One thing that I have discovered, and I'll let Louis address this from his perspective, because he'll give you some good ideas too. But one thing I've learned is that as I continue to do the meditations, for me, that's my biggest thing to do is mirror exercises. Various activities that I do throughout the day to help, keep myself up. As I do more and more of that, I find that the mindfulness, the being aware of, I'm falling into the crevice right now, comes a lot quicker now, and that happens because of the daily practices. So, don't beat yourself up about that. I mean, we all go through it. It's normal. It's a very common thing. And as you just keep focusing on what you want and redirecting yourself over and over again, it gets easier over time.
That's exactly what everybody says, and I believe that. And so when you say the mirror practices, would you like to elaborate on that? I'm interested.
Oh, yeah. There are a number of people who have written about this. I follow the way that Jack Canfield, the author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, writes about it. But Louise Hay has written about it. A number of people have written about this.
Louise Hay.
Yep.
I know her book. So
right. The basic idea is every morning you basically go stand in the mirror and you talk to yourself. You take it. You can do the same thing with a cell phone on selfie mode, but you just have a conversation with yourself, and the whole purpose of the conversation.
Don't even have to get out of bed.
You don't. Absolutely, yeah. You just have a conversation with yourself, telling you how much you love yourself, how much you appreciate yourself, talking about all the wonderful things that you're doing in your life and how great your day is going to go. And here's what you're anticipating. You can do your segment intending. I mean, you just do all this stuff talking to yourself. And when you do that, I get very, very close to the mirror so that I can really look into my own eyes to do it. And when you look into your own eyes and talk to yourself that way, it starts to build up your self-confidence, your self-love. You cut yourself a lot more slack. You basically give yourself a lot of reasons to just feel good about yourself. And for me, that's where my biggest improvement has come. I haven't been quite as successful with the meditation. Louis is like the meditation expert around here, so I'll let him address that one. But that's how I do mirror exercises.
I'm going to do that. I love it. Thanks so much. Louis, over to you.
Daisy, my question to you, based on your statement, would be simply, what do you believe the importance is of negativity and negative emotion? Why is it so primarily important? Why?
Oh, well, I mean, to follow the teachings, which I completely do sincerely, flow with, I really see the truth in, it's to produce a new desire. The expansion of the universe.
You could look at it as your expansion tool, can't you?
Absolutely. It only happens through us.
You come into the physical universe, this contrasting universe, and you come to play with contrast. So when you know what you don't want, you have a better idea what you do want.
That's right.
So when you get to the understanding that everything's always working out perfectly for you, you understand that when it goes wrong, it's working perfectly for you. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. So what we're really looking to achieve when you're getting more advanced, Abraham Hicks, you're looking to achieve step 5.
That's right.
Now, you've heard that many times. So
yes.
Step 5 is when you come back and you see the whole place full of smoke and all the rest of it, and you say, oh my gosh, I know I'm never going to do this again. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I really loved, there were some things that were really beautiful, like, I kept saying, so when I immediately went to the meditation and felt my inner being just not worried about this at all, but I would go into the meditation, feel amazing, come back out of it, feel good for a while, and then feel crap again, go back, so it was like, it would take like a few efforts.
It gets quicker and quicker and quicker as you practice it.
But I definitely felt, I told myself my inner being loves me. But the mirror thing's great because it definitely, in my case, I don't seem to have negative energy really towards other people. I mean, not that I can think of it right now, maybe. But basically, it's like always directed at me.
But towards yourself?
Other people also feel that. I've heard people go on the tape saying, it's always like myself who gets my own shit. So it's in that moment to tell myself, I really love myself. Or even just, if that's difficult, my inner being really loves me. My inner being loves and appreciates me so much. Like in that moment, you just flip, you don't feel the darkness so much, I think.
So Daisy, just so I can break down what you're doing. So what you're doing is when you hit that negativity, you don't try and deal with it. You go and change the subject. You raise your vibration. You use meditation to maybe not even change the subject, but stop thinking so that you raise your vibration. Then you go back and look at it to maybe see how you can improve it. So that whole process gets shortened and shortened until you get to step 5 is where you're actually seeing it and immediately looking at the rocket of desire that comes out of it. Yes. And then you ride that rocket instead of staying behind. So it's not changing the subject. It's actually using the subject to shoot forward into the positive area.
Yeah. Love it.
So that's where you get to actually experience the idea of walking into the smoking kitchen and say, okay, I love the fact that that this is a great growing moment. That's when you know you're right on top of it.
And when that happens, it's quite an experience, the step 5, when it really happens to you, when you in the midst of that negative stuff, and you're instantly turning it around. It is very empowering, very powerful. It's very beautiful. It's quite a trip.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. So the Abraham Hicks teachings have actually really influenced, like the concept of my album art. I'd already been. Well, I guess even with the concept of the whole album. So yeah, I started listening to Abraham Hicks in May, and then I got this. Well, I signed the contract with the new company July the 1st. So I started recording and doing all the preparations for the recording of the album after that. And so like my album art is me, like it's a photo. It's me, but it's a conceptual. I mean, sitting. Well, first of all, so sitting, just looking in a really beautiful red plush chair, kind of gold, gold ornamentations on it. And then the room that I'm in is a kind of warehouse, like gritty, grotty, that kind of feeling. Mm-hmm. And on the floor are pieces of glass. The idea is kind of from a broken mirror, that reflect a beautiful blue sky, just like where you are, Louis. But that's impossible because you see that I'm in an enclosed room. And the idea is that in this situation, and there's also light streaming in. We haven't quite finished, we're like constructing the picture. We're going to do the photos in a couple of weeks, but maybe light streaming in through the smashed glass. So like you said, you've got the smashed glass, in other words, that kind of... You got
to know what you don't want part, and then you've got to know what you do want. And then the light streaming through, so I've got like light kind of... what you don't want.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the idea is that you can be in a situation, and I was really thinking about this, very funny, I'm in this apartment which still smells, this morning I can still smell a little bit, the smoke and everything. It looks good though.
The reminder.
Yeah, but I can be in this situation and feel amazing. That's the idea of the whole concept, kind of this album art. That
it sounds like the whole album is based around step 5ing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, dealing with little emergencies here.
And
you got your cat joining you again.
Yes, I have both cats. One cat just opened the door while in the midst of the broadcast, so I had to try to deal with a couple things, but that's all right. They're cute. They're wonderful. That's what I get for not latching the door. That's all. It's very simple. Put up with the scratching sounds. Shh, shh, shh. Okay, let me in. But,
and it does. It reminds me, like, something's really interesting for me. There's always interesting things for me, going on in like my perception of life. But the idea of the perception, I had something really interesting with my album where, me and all the band members and all of the sound engineer and the people who had helped. I kind of like had the vision of all the arrangements, but I had a guy writing all the charts for me. Amazing genius. All these people, genius. The producer. We'd spent months, preparing for this album, recording. And then we get there to the studio. We're all so excited. It's this one of the best studios in the world. It's an amazing studio. And we spend the morning getting all the sound, like making sure the drums got the right sound, each instrument, working everything out. And then we go for lunch. At lunch, we're so excited. We can't wait hardly to go back. We go back after lunch and we start recording, and we make a killing first recording. The first take is like killing. And then we're like, well, let's go and listen, to make sure everything's sounding how we want. And so we go in and we're all very hyper, but maybe particularly me. And when I listen back to the recording, because I'm so kind of overhyped, I think the recording sounds boring. I know we've killed it, but I'm like, oh my God. I had so much fun creating the arrangement of this song. I love this song so much. I love playing it. The band, I thought, we're killing it. And now maybe we're making a boring album. And I was so, again, I immediately had to try and make myself feel better. And everybody in the whole room of this mixing room, who really wants me to feel good. That's the most important thing. We're like looking at me going, Daisy, you don't like it, and I was like, I think we just should move on to the next song because, I just need to feel better. And anyway, the next day I came back to this recording with just having relaxed. We'd done some more takes, we'd done some more songs. We did a good day, had a good sleep, came back the next day, and I went and I was like, I'll just come a bit early. I'll just listen to that take again. And I nearly cried. It was so good. And of course, if I'm listening to an album, I put on music, not because I want it to sound overhyped. I mean, I don't listen to that kind of music. I don't listen to kind of acid kind of music. So anyway, and I even listened to the original Who, and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't sound overhyped. In fact, I kind of even felt like ours was like even more energetic than theirs. But the amazing thing to me was the difference in which I felt about this same take, just depending on my mood. So like, as you just said, Louis, like that perspective, everything's about the perspective in which we look at our life. Everything.
That's true. Perspective,
and that's to do with the mood,
Perspective also drives. I many years ago, when I was in my 20s, I played in a rock band, and we made a demo tape in a studio. And one of the things that I noticed right off was how it sounds so much different in the studio than it does in a live performance. I mean, just dramatically different. Remarkably, incredibly different. Everything sounds completely wrong. It just sounds wrong. And you have to kind of get used to it. It's a different sound. It's a sound that anybody who has ever purchased music says, oh, yeah, that sounds perfectly normal, but not to the musician. The musician is used to how it's always sounding in the live environment. And that's a hard thing to get around at first. But once you get used to it... So
you probably have the same feeling.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling.
Especially that feeling of this is it. This is the recording that everybody's going to listen from now forevermore.
Exactly.
This is the recording that, tens of hundreds of thousands of people are going to buy. And it feels like in a show, you're just like flowing. I mean, the energy's flowing through you and you're like in bliss kind of and connecting and the oneness with the audience. Everybody's going, crazy, and you're not in that kind of like, perspective of potential criticism,
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course you've got everything around you and it's happening in the moment and then you listen back. It's like, nearly like the inner being never looks back. So there you have to look back a little bit.
And you touched on it when you are a live performer. Now, I've never performed for the kinds of crowds that you've performed for. Mine were like, 100 people if I was lucky. But, when you're in that kind of environment, even a small audience like that audience feeds you energy in a huge, huge way. Mm. And when you are deprived of that energy in the studio environment, you may not consciously know what it is, but subconsciously you're really aware of it. It's like, where did it go? Oh, absolutely. I'm so my bliss for me is in the performance situation. And I always say, people say it must be great having people watching you. I don't actually feel like that. I don't feel like people are watching me, even though they are. Well, in a way, I feel like I'm opening to, my inner being. I'm opening to the spirit of the world, my soul, whatever it is. And so is everybody in the room. It's like we are all in that situation of being completely with our inner being, if we want to talk about it and with our soul, with our spirit.
And that is what makes me and everybody so high.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's one of my bliss is the performance. And then the other bliss is the creation because, and I've been really influenced by Abraham Hicks in this way, in so many ways, but in my creative way, because she talks so much about all these artists who've died, who now all they want is to help the artists who are still alive. So I've been saying, okay, I've been opening to Freddie Mercury one day, opening to Prince another day. I've been opening to Michael Jackson. I've had like this feeling of these artists' energy flowing through me, and it's bliss. I mean, I can't think of any word to say to more describe this euphoric feeling. So for me, the creative moment and then the performing moment is kind of what I live for, you know. Mm-hmm. It's kind of my bliss, my meditation, my feeling, the same feeling of meditation I get in those moments. And then there's the recording, which is nearly a more, it's kind of, but it's not the same high. It's more like a kind of, well, you really get into the emotion of what the music is in that moment, but it's not quite the same high. And I found that, in fact, when I was just being very relaxed and kind of calm and kind of feeling normal, then I would really play a good take, you know. Absolutely. It was really interesting.
Yeah, it was amazing. You mentioned Freddie Mercury, and I just watched that new movie,
Bohemian Rhapsody.
And when they're creating that Bohemian Rhapsody, and they've got this little house, and they're sitting there, and they're having all their struggles, but he's getting it perfect. He's getting all the bits and pieces and the sound. He goes over it again and again and again. I mean, it's like the weirdest song on the planet. If you listen to it outside the norm, you know, it's just like, what? And I mean, even their producer threw it out, you know. But, you know, what an amazing song. What an absolutely incredible piece of music. And as Abraham says, to kind of explain a little bit of how it works is, you know, you have the situation and everybody's saying things perfectly. Like I was thinking, Pink Floyd and Freddie Mercury and Bohemian Rhapsody, and then you mention it, you know, and it's the timing. It's the timing. And it's very difficult to explain to anybody about the timing when it's fixed on a video and somebody's watching it back, you know, or something. You can't really, you know, I've got all these things around me in this forest here, and there's certain things that the fly hit me just now at the right time. And, you know, it's just the timing. You can't tell everybody about the timing, and it's the timing that is the thing that kind of sparks everything off. Wow, at this time, how did it?
Yes.
I really enjoyed that movie. It was quite an eye opener for me.
I
having listened to the music forever and know nothing about it.
Right. Pretty. I felt quite kind of similar as well. Like Queen's one of my favorite bands of all time, and I knew a bit about Freddie Mercury, but yeah, it was so inspiring. And it was the day after I'd watched that film that I was like, Freddie, he was like, I'm right here. I was like, come on, let's have some fun. It was like, and we had some real fun doing an arrangement that day. I felt literally I just had hours and hours of feeling like I'm with Freddie's spirit. So my feeling, not that Abraham's talked exactly about this, or maybe he has and I haven't listened to that tape, but my feeling is when we die, we can be everywhere at the same time. We can be with thousands of artists at the same time.
Absolutely.
And I have often felt when an artist dies, you know, when Michael Jackson died the next day and the next weeks, I felt him with me every day. It was so inspiring and, you know, just in such a powerful force of positivity, not just in writing music, but in every aspect of my music, every aspect of my life, really, every aspect of wanting to live my dreams and all that kind of stuff. So, and I have had, even before any of this, I've had visions of, you know, Janis Joplin came to me in two visions. You know, I was just relaxing a couple of times and I had visions of her saying, this is what you should do. And they were pretty out of the like totally out of anything I felt like I could have thought of ideas. She was the one saying you should go to New York. I live, you know, just north of New York City now, but I'm from London, as everybody probably can hear from my accent. And I was in a band, which was going to split up. So I was kind of wondering what to do. I was already living in Austria, in Vienna at that time. So I was thinking I'll probably go back to London. But she said, you've got to go to New York to be a solo artist. This was not my own band that I had in Vienna. It was a string trio. So I was used to being it's the chamber music group, you know. And I just was like, what the hell was that? And I kind of like had it in the back of my mind, but I wasn't ready to, what do you mean, New York? At what? Like, you know. But, and then of course, things started happening. People started I was touring around the world anyway with this group, so you meet other musicians at festivals, and they would be like, "Listen, I've got a group in New York. Why don't you come and do a tour with us? Why don't you like all this stuff in New York started coming to me all the time." I was like, "Janice, oh my God!" And it took me about a year to say, "Okay, I'll try it," because for a year I was like, "No way." Just like Esther sometimes says, if she knew she'd be doing this, she'd be like, I don't think so. But now I've lived in New York for 13 years, or New York City for 4 years, and up here for 9 years. And yeah, I've been a solo artist all that time. I've done it. So
it's one of those things that's really strange when you're first getting used to listening to that inside voice. And for me, it was more about trying to actually notice the voice and actually trust that I was really getting an inside message. Lately, I've been getting better at that, but it can be hard to follow that message because, especially like you say, if it flies in the face of conventional wisdom, right? And that's what you had to do, but you did it.
You weren't brought up that way.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess my first question is, good for you. How did you convince yourself to follow that voice?
I mean, it was. Oh, okay. So the specific New York thing was that not only did I get job after job after job, I met a guy as well, who, I formed a close friendship with, a very successful musician in New York City. He played in Miles Davis's band for many years, like all these like kind of names that for me were like God icons in the music world and in the New York music scene. And he heard me play and he said, I think you're going to do really well in New York. And he just kept saying that. I think so. I really think so. And it was a combination of all this work coming of, I had an aunt, she's died now, but I became very close. I had a lovely aunt who had spent her whole life really living in New York. I didn't know her that well. I just went, I'll come and stay with her for 2 weeks. And the city spoke to me, how things speak to you. I felt this incredible excitement. And finally it was a kind of, I guess like everything, a letting go of the resistance, right? And then I finally said, I'll come here for a year.
Well, that's just it.
And then it turned into 2 years. And then I met my husband and then I was like, I guess I'm staying, But the inner voice thing, that's why Abraham Hicks for me is so powerful, because it talks about the feeling. Even I'm so proud of myself. So the thing that catches me up the most, everybody has their conventional wisdom, like you said. And for me, it's, being able to not just say no, but, I've had a really important kind of change in the way I'm thinking, and I'm sure it will change again and again. But right now, Louise Hay says this thing, you receive what you give. And a lot of people, it's about giving. Well, I would like to change that in my particular where I'm at now to you get what you think. You get what you feel and what you think. So I consider myself a giving person, like maybe we all do, and I give a lot, and it actually was to my detriment in the way that I would try to, want to solve other people's problems, which are really for them to solve anyway, and it's for their journey, to the detriment of myself. Do things that were not good for me, to try and help them because I would feel that their problems are worse than mine or something like that. And that is still an ongoing thing for me where I'm so proud of myself every time somebody says, would you like to come to my birthday party? And I really don't want to come. And I'm like, I can't, and I'm just to be able to say no to things where I'm like, this is my friend and kind of I ought to go. But actually, no, I'm really in my composing. So that is my journey. And even yesterday, I kind of wasn't sure if I really wanted to go out and meet this friend, but I still went and look what happened. So I'm still working on it. I'm still working on the inner voice thing. But yeah, it's that little voice that says, I don't really want to go. And it's okay to not really want to go. Like for me, just allowing myself to do what I want.
That's huge.
It's a big thing.
Trust your emotional guidance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you trust
and
that.
And not what I think I do what I think I should. Yeah. Sorry.
I was just going to say.
So a lot of people.
Oh, go ahead.
A lot of people think the law of attraction is the secret. Okay. We all know the movie The Secret and the book and all the rest of it. But I've come to understand that the law of attraction has been taught everywhere. In every Bible, every religion, it's been taught by philosophers, been taught everywhere. The thing that I think is the real secret is is that your emotions are your guidance system. That is the one thing that I think is the biggest key that I've learned. Because and the other thing is, I always knew contrast was the teacher. That was clear to me, because I always knew there would be no light without any darkness, there'd be no mountain without a valley, etc., etc. But I didn't know how to put it into the human context. And when I came to realize that when you know what you don't want, you have a better idea what you do want, and it's wanted and unwanted, that is how the contrast manifests for a human, that my eyes were open to a much greater degree. So I think, A, the clarity of the message, and B, that your emotions are your guidance. And I love Abram's little example, and I just wanted to mention, Daisy, you mentioned that Abram was a she in the beginning and Abram was a he later on. So I was quite amused by that.
Very well noticed. I was completely oblivious to that.
and the best part is both are correct. That's what I love about it.
Because I'm either talking about Esther or Abraham, which is interesting that I'm
I know.
Very interesting.
So many people call Abram a she because of Esther. But
it's still accurate.
You clearly understand what's happening.
Because if you're receiving beings who are non-physical beings who have cycled through to Earth lifetimes, then it doesn't matter which one you use. Both genders are correct. There are going to be some she's and there are going to be some he's in there. They're both accurate. In some cases, it might have been even cross-dressers. You never know.
I'm neither male or female. I just am. But yeah, you're completely correct. Sometimes I think about my experiences of my past lives as male, female, young, old, etc. And it's very difficult for me and different nationalities for me to think in terms of I'm a white South African. It's just ridiculous to think like that. It's a concept that has completely eluded me now, to think that. And it's interesting because now I get along with people that are very well-to-do or high in the society, and I get along very, very well with those that are incredibly low in society. And neither of those, and even any religion and any group, it really doesn't bother me anymore. It's become something that is of no real consequence. The interesting thing that I'm looking for mostly now is alignment. If I'm looking at anybody, I'm just looking alignment. And once you understand the difference between alignment and wanting to segregate different people into different groups, you're looking now for an aligned person in any group, in any shape, in any color, in any religion, in any political motivation, etc. So, it's become clearer and clearer with the Abraham Hicks teaching how to do that, because the understanding of alignment has been primarily important to me. I think without a clear understanding of that, it's not that easy to fully grasp things, and to not have too stronger opinions on anything, and to accept everybody even when they're out of alignment. You know, you can appreciate the expansion tool. It's like, wow, that's so cool. Look at all the circumstances they brought together to create this shit for themselves so that they can grow.
You know, oh God, that changed me so much, because every time I went, living up here, the town is called Peekskill. It is I talk about it, you know, I'm sure there's many people who vote for whatever they vote for. I don't want to get into politics, but I talk about it in my mind as a socialist town, in the way that there are no homeless people. We really look after each other here. So I'm used to being here. That's all good. I love that. And then I go to New York City, tons of homeless people, all ages, all everything. And my heart used to be broken every time I saw them after the Abraham Hicks teachings. I would go down and be like, I just imagine you being blessed with the most incredible growth from this. You know, really taking from this something that you're so
that's when you can genuinely smile at them, isn't it?
Yes, grateful that it's happening. I'm like, wow, look at what you're creating for yourself. Yes. And not feel bad about it, and just see them in the place that I know they would want to be.
Yes.
That's a wonderful skill. That's a wonderful skill to have.
It's great talking to you guys, and it's really interesting that you mentioned about being a white South African Louis, because not that all British people have this, but I felt like I brought into my life because everything is about, it's okay for me to feel good. It's okay for me to put feeling good before anything else. It's okay for me to put in my little world, feeling good before saying yes or no to a friend, like that. And I feel that that's partly to do with the fact that I was feeling quite guilty as a British person, having overrun all of these countries, when I would go to like Africa and see, I just feel like,
the guy that
England
decimated my country, girl.
Yeah, exactly. Or, like all the England, the slave trade, everything that the history of the English Empire had created. Yeah. I felt like I was brought up kind of in that guilt. And, that was just like you feel you have to work on your things. I felt also I needed to really work on that, which was so interesting, that we all often come as a culture or as we come into this life.
Well, you come in with the vibration of culture that you come in, and that is just thought forms. So you come in with this baggage of thought forms, and then you have to wean your way out of them until you become clear what you believe and where you're going and what you understand. Yeah.
That's
so you shift and you become clearer. You realize that your thoughts create your reality. So let me clean up all those thoughts and put in what I want.
Yes.
And let me copy diem that sees the day and run with it and forget about the past. That's else's stuff.
It's kind of ironic that we grow up in life trying to learn what the mores are, trying to learn all these things that society is trying to teach us, and then we discover Abraham, and then we try to unlearn all of it. It's a very strange thing.
Oh my God! Well, who is it who said maybe Einstein or a really famous quote? The friend I met yesterday actually just mentioned this quote, which is like, life is all about trying to unlearn everything you've learned, or something like that.
Right.
Anyway, because I feel like, yes, it is exciting. In a way, Abraham also talks about this. It's exciting to reach your goals. And it's very exciting for me to say to you, the amount of concerts that I've now got and all this kind of stuff that's happening in my career. It's amazing. It's what I wanted. But the thing that's really exciting is the feeling of change. Like you started the conversation, Louis,
where
today.
You're going, not where you are.
Yeah, where you're going, and the way you see that you're reacting differently to things. Like you were talking about using the law of attraction to really help your daughter with like recreating her bedroom or something like that. You're talking about doing something like that. And for me, even like I just did my taxes this weekend, and I did them in about 10 times quicker than I normally did. And it made me feel so cool. You did the mental
work first. You set the vibrational pattern before you did it. Yeah.
Yes. And I knew that everything is, like I used to spend a lot of time on tiny details, sense, getting every sense right. And now it was more like, I know the end result of what needs to be done. Yeah. And why don't I have fun in finding a quick way to do it? Sorry?
You got the average clear in your mind and you're heading towards it. That's it. Yeah. You got the idea of where you're going.
And it's all about having fun. So it's about having fun. And having fun is looking and learning a new way of doing something that you've done the same for the last 30 years. So I did lots of things in new ways. And it really was fun. I can't believe I said it, but I had fun doing my taxes. Because also I was seeing the change in myself. And that is maybe the most exciting thing, and Abraham is all about that. Every day a new self and a new change and doing things in a new way and feeling good.
One of the things that Linda Armstrong, who does the Friday afternoon podcast with me, was pointing out is, and others also point this out here on the show. I have, Daisy, you would not believe how many co-hosts I have, but many of them like to point out that the world is a mirror of what we're thinking about and feeling about. And Louis has pointed that out many times, but that mirror icon, that mirror metaphor, I think is a really good metaphor. It's a metaphor that reminds us that every time that something happens that catches us unawares, that just it isn't what we had in mind, something didn't work out the way we wanted it to, something just went completely wrong, it's always a mirror of what's going on in our lives. My favorite joke way to express it is, oh, darn, I can't get away with anything. But in fact, the reality is I'm creating all of this. And that as I become more and more aware of that and more cognizant of the fact that everything that's happening there is something that I am doing, it gives me more and more of a sense of empowerment. So a lot of people kind of get intimidated by it. I get the empowerment feeling. I get the very strong feeling. I can see you shaking your head up and down. So yes, this is the same thing you're experiencing, right?
So Daisy, Daisy, Walt and I are a big fan of Richard Bach's The Illusion book. I don't know if you've read it.
Oh, I'm going to get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're doing The Who, which is from the 1970s, you got to do Richard Bach, which is also from the 1970s. It's the same era.
Awesome! I'll definitely do it.
Sorry,
did you say Richard Bach? Oh, of course, of course. And I probably have read Illusion.
I wouldn't be surprised, but Donald Shimoda says to Richard, he says, how many people in the world? And Richard jokingly says, well, there's me. And Donald says, oh, I'm so impressed. Let me buy you a meal next time. And he said, and 6 billion other people. And he said, oh, no, forget about that meal.
Canceled meal.
And it's really interesting when you start understanding that you are the only person in your world.
Yes.
And Walt is the only person in his world, and Daisy's the only person in her world.
Yes. Yes.
And sometimes we tend to bump into each other like this on those videos.
Yes.
And that's the fun part for me. I love that part.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then you start realizing that you don't have to be confined to anybody else's world. You can do whatever you want in your.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's next?
That's what I felt as well about the taxes thing. You know, I kind of knew this is my illusion. I'm creating it. I'm going to do it how I think is the right way. And actually, nothing else will matter. Nobody else is going to tell me what to do, only in my mind if I let them.
Yeah. And you'll only get into trouble if you think you're going to get into trouble.
That's right. That's right.
If you think you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
My mentor said to me many, many years ago, a thief is never going to get in court unless they want to be. And I said, what? You're talking rubbish. I was like totally thrown by that. And it stuck in my mind for all the years until Abraham Hicks really... Well, Richard Bach as well in The Illusion. Started pointing it out. But then, and then Abraham Hicks really, that's why. That's why.
Yeah.
Just briefly, there was this guy who came in the sauna. He said, I just saw an article in the newspaper. Always talking about my sauna buddies. And he said, there was this article about the pedophiles. They got 12 pedophiles and they got 9 girls. And the girls were behind the glass and the pedophiles were looking through the glass at the girls. And each one of them came into the room separately, and they had to choose one girl, and all of the 12 pedophiles chose the same girl. And from a law of attraction point of view, that made total sense to me. Total sense, because if you chatted to that one girl, I'm sure you would see the vulnerability somewhere. And if you spoke to the others, you would see the confidence.
It's great, isn't it, to be able to... It's great to be able to talk about that, because people who are not ready to accept the responsibility of their life, they will want to kill you for saying that, you know.
Absolutely.
But for us, we can just say, that's it. It's true. I believe it totally. And also, I have to say, it's kind of interesting that I feel, since I've been doing this, I feel like saying the world is a mirror. You know, people tell me, oh, there's people out there who don't like their job. And I'm like, really? You know, I don't know people like that. Like, all the people I'm attracting in my world are people like us. They take responsibility for their life. They're into their self-growth. They're seeing, you know, they know that they're attracting everything to them in their life. It's like, so I feel like the world is just full of those people. I only hear about the other people. But, you know, I would like, my world is full of like these amazing people, and we're all inspiring each other on this journey.
And the beauty, of course, is that
we
get to select. We get to decide. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I still actually do run into lots of people who are in the other kind of world, so to speak, who have that other kind of experience. And to me, that's a good thing, because like you were talking about earlier, Louis, it's about learning to appreciate where they are. I mean, Stacey, you were also you were talking about homeless people. You were seeing homeless people and looking at them in an entirely different light. And that's what I'm trying to practice doing. It's not an easy skill to develop at first, but when you stick with it, when you keep going, you get stronger and stronger, and you get better and better at doing it, and all of a sudden, things start to change in your whole experience of people like that.
I think, Walt, the big secret is realizing that you create your own reality with your thoughts.
Yeah, that's
right. And by looking at yourself and seeing that this is a truth for you, you start seeing that it must be a truth for everybody.
That's it. I was going to say the same thing in slightly different words. Knowing that our illusion is an illusion, then we know that their illusion is an illusion. We don't need to take it so seriously. As soon as we don't take our own problems so seriously, and I'm, still working on that. But anyway, as soon as we don't, as soon as we are, and oh my God, step 5, I'm looking forward to that. then we can look at their situation and know they're just, having a step 1 moment. So what? It's fine.
Yep.
It takes time,
and because you're not living their lives, they may be having a lot more step 2 moments than you expect.
Absolutely.
Just because you're not living their lives. Yeah.
That's right.
And they must be because they're still alive.
Yes. I had a friend, talking of homeless, I had a friend who I spoke to yesterday for a completely other reason, and she mentioned to me she's been homeless for a year and a half. I was like, oh my God, she's 69. And I was kind of really shocked by the idea, but she told me, Daisy, I have grown more through this than anything in my life. And she told me all these amazing angel people who are coming to her life and doing incredible things. So exactly what you just said. I'm still trying to get over it in my mind. So, but anyway, looking at it as the illusion, she's created it and it's all good. It's like, wow.
There are times when I still try to get used to the idea that this is all an illusion. Because it certainly doesn't seem like, when I hold this mouse, this seems like a mouse. This is not empty space. This is a physical mouse that I'm holding right here. No one can tell me different.
It is a physical mouse because that's what you have created. That's your reality.
Oh, doggone it.
But that means you've got the power to change it rather than it's not a reality.
That's right.
That's what it really is.
It's not working.
There we go. Where's your wand? Come on, pick that wand.
Are you in England now, Louis? It's such a beautiful day. Are you in the UK?
I am. I'm in a little forest outside the UK with my kids. They're busy playing in the park.
Are you in is it London or where is it? Where do you live in the UK?
South of London. I'm in Kent at the moment, but I live in South London.
I'm so happy. It's like a beautiful day in England. It's gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Have a look.
Just beautiful.
Can't see much because I'm in the forest.
No, it's beautiful. I'm just loving seeing you there. It's such a good thing, And my mum, lives in England and she's been sending me, because there's spring flowers in England. Of course, here we're in New York, it's snow. Yeah. Although the sun's out today, wonderful, beautiful day today. But, snow, basically.
That won't last very long. We're coming into March. That's when all the snow melts away and we get the tulips.
Yes!
From Amsterdam.
From Amsterdam, yeah, that's right.
I'm going back to Mexico soon anyway.
I love it.
Much warmer there, I'm sure.
Well, we've got about 2 minutes left.
Good to talk with you.
I just want to ask one more question. What's next on your itinerary? Where are you headed next?
Thanks for asking, because I wanted to mention something I totally forgot to mention. So right now, the next couple of weeks are getting everything ready for the touring of the Who's Who show, like creating the projections, the lighting, mixing the album and creating all the artwork for the album. But I'm also, the next concert, with my band, is around here. It's in a beautiful, I'll send you a flyer. Maybe you could post it on your site or something.
Sure.
It's on the 28th of March, which is a Thursday. It's at 8 p.m. It's in a, area just north of New York City called, Mohegan Lake. Very near where I live, Peekskill, like 10 minutes from here. It's in a church that's been beautifully restored and made into a winery. It's a beautiful venue. So 28th of March at the winery at St. George, 8 p.m. Daisy Jopling Band. It's right before we leave on the 1st of April for China. So we're just going to play through our China tour show. So it's going to be an amazing show. And it'll be the first time to hear some of our Who's Who music live for anybody.
Beautiful.
So come and see us.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing.
And finally, for somebody who wants to find out more about your band, I presume you have a website or Facebook page or something. How do they find out?
I'm on all of the social medias and website and everywhere.
Search for the name.
Yeah, so www.daisyjopling.com, and it's DAISYJOPLING.com. So kind of like Janice, but with a G at the end. So daisyjopling.com. Everything's there. And same, Facebook, Daisy Jopling, everything's Daisy Jopling. Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Everything. I'm on the Chinese Weibo now because we're just about to tour China. So
Oh, very good.
that, I'm doing everything.
Good stuff. Well, good luck with the
guys,
tour.
so much.
I hope you enjoy
Thank
the ongoing experience because you seem to be enjoying it so much. So I can't imagine you'll do
Fine, it'll be
otherwise.
amazing.
Yeah, but keep letting us know what's going on and send
Thank
your stuff
you.
and so forth, and we'll have to have you back sometime too.
That would be awesome. Yeah, the album's released 23rd of May, so maybe right before then we could even have me playing you a bit of music or
Ooh,
yeah.
I would like that.
Absolutely, that sounds great.
That'd be fun. All right. Well, thank you very much, Daisy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, both of you.
All right. Thanks, Louie. We'll see you all next
Most
time.
welcome.
We'll see you next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.
Take care, everybody.